So recently, me and Austin, we just watched it on Netflix. The Evil Dead. We did social distancing also because one of us may be sick. But so we
I
watched the
mean, to
Evil
think
Dead.
it's about me.
It's like it's 1986 or 84, something like that, isn't it?
It's 1981 is
1981.
the this version of the Evil Dead.
Yeah, this is the first. This is the very first Evil Dead we watched. Not like the second. I think the second ones are called like the Army of Darkness, and then there's Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness 2.
That's like a spoof. I think the Army of Darkness is kind of a spoof of it. Then there's a Evil of Darkness 2. I don't know which date that is. I think it's let you look at here.
But yeah,
Evil Dead 2 comes
tomorrow.
oh shoot.
But
Tomorrow.
They're all
1987.
they're all in
it
the
came
same universe. The Evil
out. Alexa, off.
Dead.
Sorry, yeah. Is that a alarm clock for
I
Alexa?
don't care. But the Evil Dead and the what's it called the Army of Darkness still in the same universe, I believe.
Yeah, it has the same like little tributes to it. Like there's a book, there's a murder floating around.
Mm-hmm.
Our protagonist for the most part, and then it has a chainsaw. Although I think this first one didn't have a chainsaw.
It does.
Oh no, it did.
It's just
it does. It doesn't. It doesn't show like. Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't really like go overblown as the other ones did.
Well, he doesn't kill her. He straps her in and then he's going to chop her up with a chainsaw, and then he sees her necklace.
The necklace.
Yeah. Okay.
That was like a total like
I don't know,
their relationship.
Guess,
or like I don't know.
So before we get it, the summary is that these four guys, or the two guys and these two girls, or these two guys and these three girls, right? There's 5 people.
Yeah, there is 2 guys, Ash and this. I don't know what his name was, but he was kind of a douchebag the entire time.
His name too. I forgot all their names except for Ash.
Don't worry, I'll just put the cast and we'll kind of go from there.
Is the guy's name Sam? Anyways, it's 2 guys and 3 girls, and they go to a cabin for like the summer. I guess they rented it out, and then they find like some demon book called the
Necronomicon.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that. And I don't know. They start turning into monsters, I guess, like zombie-ish people.
Jim, I guess SHEMP. That's a weird name.
What was his name?
Shemp.
Nah, it can't be right.
That can't be right. I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, "What the fuck?"
The girls like grab his shoulder like
Scott.
Scott. It is Scott.
It was Scott.
Yeah. It's Scott.
Cherry with an L at the end.
Cheryl, you mean? Sherry?
Cheryl. Oh, yeah. I suck. Then Linda and Kelly.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, what did you think of the movie?
It was good. I don't really like older movies because it's just kind of it has kind of its own little pitfalls of kind of the same kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the same type of storyline where it's going to be one like person left, and everyone else is going to go slowly into that kind of victim. Yeah, die. And of course, they're like, "Hey, let's do the one thing that I literally do this every single time this happens in a horror movie. When someone says, "Oh, let's split up," I am immediately going for the bad guy as the good guy. It's like if you're that stupid."
Why haven't splitting up?
It's like it is the dumbest thing. It's like, hey, we're gonna get murdered, and it looks like they're picking us off one by one. Let's split up and make it easier for him because that's a dick move.
You know what's weird is if you went to this cabin, I would just want to leave from like the first second I get in there. That cabin looked horrible.
No Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi. There was no Village Pizza anywhere near. But it was weird because
it's a weird.
It's like beat down. It's like an abandoned beat down cabin.
Yeah, but I don't know how cabins looked like in 1981. So maybe that's what all cabins looked like.
Maybe they're not that mahogany wood. Now
maybe like today's like cabins are like fucking great. They have a swimming pool in the back. But I mean, I don't know if like all these cabins kind of have that same aesthetic where it's just so cheaply made, and it's just like, oh, this has the plumbing, so just be thankful for that. And I'm like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even know if it had plumbing. It had a chainsaw in the back.
I guess that means plumbing, right? I guess.
Okay, so the movie starts off with these group going down, and they almost get in a car accident at the very beginning.
Well, I think the entity or whatever is shown in that too, kind of following a like weird like lake or a pond, and then as it goes closer to the car, it's shown that it like intentionally pulls to the left and tries to go into this like truck and almost kills them. But they're like, oh fuck, and of course it's like the first little spook they get.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I just remember
and then
almost getting a car accident. But maybe it's ghost time or something.
Yeah, it was but they're showing it that's because of that one little floating entity thing. But after that, they go to the cabin and they're like, "Oh wow, this is pretty shitty."
Pretty great.
And of course, they have this
1980.
Yeah, but it's interesting because there's a point where there's a swing set out in the little patio they have in the front.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and it keeps hitting it, and I mean. Looking at it, it's just like, oh, whatever. It's just the wind. And then as soon as they open the door, it stops. And then I thought that was interesting because it's like, what's going on here? Something's not right. But it's so subtle that even if you were in reality, you'd just be like, oh, I guess the wind stopped, and then kind of just went in. You wouldn't really kind of conflate those two. But since it's a horror movie, it's like, oh shit, something's going on.
I thought this movie had really cool effects they did for their time.
Yeah, and I think the body horror of it too, like the special effects of like the worst one was probably the pencil in like the heel of the woman.
No,
and it's like going around in circles.
When Ash is like by the grave, when he cuts off the head of the girl with a shovel, and then when he's walking away, it's like gnawing at his leg, and it sticks her.
Oh, it really? Yeah, it's such a really.
I thought that was the worst one too. Or the worst.
That one was a good one. I think the lighting helped a lot more because it looked more real.
Yeah.
Because it was just like you see more of the muscle as she tears it down, and it's like, oh fuck. But if like let's say it was in the lighting where the pencil was, you kind of see that it's a little bit like fake.
Yeah.
Because it's like stretching. The heel's stretching so much, like I don't know if that's a heel.
Whenever they stabbed him with that that ritual sword, it always looked funky. Like how they're always like turning it behind their back, and they get stabbed, and they're like, "Oh, cutscene."
I think the editing was.
Also, what's called what happened?
Audio.
Yeah, we went out for like half a second when you were talking.
No, it said like new audio was like.
No.
Oh, okay.
But
all right.
Ash's
So
girlfriend, when she gets the disease or whatever, and he touches her leg, I thought that was a really cool effect too. Well, it was like stop motion. There was a lot of quick stop motion effects.
What happened?
It was like she had like a black circle on her leg, and he touches it, and then it's like a stop motion of them drawing it on and spreading through her body.
And the music was good too because it was kind of like a piano where it's like it kind of just goes like more and more up her leg. And he's like, "Oh fuck!" I get like his reaction too, where it's just like, "Oh well, if I just cover it, it doesn't exist anymore."
All right, cool. One of the things I thought was very weird was the first girl when she decides to leave the house or the cabin and the woods like attack her.
Well, that was weird too because it's like, hey, I'm pretty much defenseless here. I'm in a robe. I'm gonna go outside and stand up to this entity that I think was peeking on me in my window that I know wasn't anyone in the house.
It felt
very. I'm just like I think I would.
It felt very much like an old school slasher movie where it was like the teenagers are like half naked by the beach and they're like. Gonna want to go alone into the woods, and then like Jason will pop up and like hack her into bits or whatever. That's what I felt like was happening in that scene.
It was kind of like what was it, American? Oh, no, it was American Psycho. It was like Psycho, where it has like a first-person view of the person, kind of just stalking, and kind of just seeing how they look at their prey almost.
Yeah,
and it was kind of yeah. And of course, the guy's always pervy. He's like, "Oh, she's got clothes on. Well, she doesn't have clothes on. I think I'll kill her first."
The woods got a little creepy halfway through.
Yeah. I like how she like
I think the
as soon
woods
as
are on
she
the
sees
list.
like as soon as you see trees falling, she's like, "Oh shit!" And instead of going back into the cabin and saying "shit's going down outside," she runs in a more deeper into the woods,
Mhm.
which I thought was a little odd. I'm
The
like,
whole thing was
I don't think that's
stupid.
the best.
Why would you run away into the woods at night alone in a place that you don't know?
I wouldn't go out in the woods at all at night
I don't go outside
if
my
I
house
thought
at
there was something
night.
outside.
I'm not gonna check
Yeah,
it out.
if I thought someone was outside fucking with me, and I knew it wasn't anyone in the house. I'm just like, all right, that's a bear or a cougar. I'm not gonna go outside. Fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna close my blinds and hopefully not get
Yeah,
murdered.
just try and go to sleep
But
or
of course,
something.
try to, I guess, with no Wi-Fi, can't watch anything. I don't
No
know.
room service. This can't be
Room
how this
service. I mean,
sucks.
really.
But,
Why did I agree to come up here?
the Yelp reviews
I thought we were rich.
lie. But so I guess so. The
So
four.
at that
Oh,
point,
go ahead.
so the woman pretty much gets raped by the woods
Uh-huh.
for the most part,
Well,
right?
I don't know
I
if
mean,
she
she just
does. It just gets a little creepy, and then she runs off.
no, it like takes hold of her,
Yeah, but like, there's
like
nothing
it
in the cabins after.
wraps her up and like takes her clothes off and starts like. I mean, I thought it was really explicit, but maybe I was wrong.
I
It was
thought
just
so
kind of
too, but I don't know if it meant. I don't know because it's like right before it happens, it like cuts away.
well, she is the first one possessed,
Well,
so something must have gone
yeah,
in her. Like
she's
maybe they were just born. Yeah,
she's the one where they throw in the basement.
she's the one that gets pushed down. Yeah, she throws in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, maybe not. Maybe they were just trying to chat. Maybe they were just playing tickle war or
Yeah,
something
that's what I thought.
in the woods.
PG-13.
Yeah, obviously.
The thing I thought kind of sucked about this
So,
movie was whenever they were when they got beat up a lot, they're like instead of like they throw up blood or it looked like they're throwing up milk all the time.
yeah, I didn't know what that was. Well, it was because of when they got stabbed by that one dagger.
Ritual dagger
They
thing.
came, yeah, they coughed up what looked like milk. So I
Yeah,
think
and
that might have
I'm
been
pretty
like.
sure it was milk. Like the treasure just gave them like.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm not saying it was like, hey, drink some of this like
Ectoplasm.
boiling water. We gotta make it as real as possible, or else the critics are gonna give us shit for it.
But
But I remember.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I said go ahead first.
All right, cool. So after she's attacked for the first time in the forest,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked how she's like literally doing what anyone else would do. Is like, hey, let's get the fuck out of here. And of course, Scott, who is like the dick of the whole thing, is like,
Yeah,
oh,
he's an
she's just
asshole.
being weird. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, she's just, we just read a weird book and then weird shit started to happen and something happened to her. I don't think those are correlated. I think she's just being weird. So of course, Ash being like the nice guy is like, yeah, I'll take her in a tent. She looks like she's having a bad time here. I don't want to go to sleep while she's screaming and yelling, saying there's a murderer on the loose. So she goes in the car, and I really did not want the car not to start. And of course, like, oh, they're not gonna let us leave. And of course, they let her. He turns on the car. It's like, okay, so it's more moving towards okay, she's just nuts.
Yeah.
The weird thing was that when they were driving up, Ash doesn't say, "Oh, look, the bridge is out." He kind of just opens the door, walks out, and she's just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And the fog is
that's the weird part.
yeah, I thought that was weird. It's like, hey, we colors, and it's going like, it's like a zombie walking out of the fucking thing. And I'm like, all right, well, bye. But I thought that was interesting because usually in horror movies the car never starts.
Yeah, it's always
Like,
like,
oh, I guess we're fucked.
the ghost
Like,
that messes with the engine or something like that.
yeah, and I think they were just. I think the ghost is trying to say, hey, I want everyone to think that she's nuts, so she's got to think of the worst things, and then everything's gonna go up normally, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, she's fucking weird, and of course, the demon makes its final entrance, which is just possessing her, pushing her, like levitating. Which I'm pretty sure Scott's like, she's just messing with us or something. It's something wrong with that. So, I enjoyed that kind of little bit, and then goes into like, hey, I'm here to kill you guys here. Just want to let you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems very good. the same thing what you said. Is I thought that the car wouldn't start or whatever, and then like they'd have to go back in the cabin, and everyone's possessed or something like that. Or there's monsters all around the cabin, but kind of threw you around for a while.
Yeah. But what was the next? Pretty much after that, it was kind of like that's when everything kind of got really bad.
Yeah, that's when it starts like picking up. Because I thought the first like 35 minutes was extremely slow.
Well, I the first time I ever kind of watched this genre, and I don't mean genre as in horror. I don't mean genre as in like just the horror of a cabin, but like the Evil Dead in general. Mm-hmm. There's always those kind of like little tidbits of a chainsaw, the Necronomicon. I think we don't even talked about the Necronomicon at all. I mean, it looks like the same damn book. I remember. Talk about that one scene where she's writing. She's like drawing, and then like her hand gets possessed, and then draws the book.
Yeah, she's just sitting down. And
I don't understand how she doesn't tell people like, "Hey, my hand kind of went fucking numb and started writing."
Maybe someone
yeah, she doesn't call for help. Like no one is mentioning this at all. Like she just her whole hand turns black almost, and then she just writes the book, and she's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then she doesn't bring it up to anyone. It's like, "Oh, I guess I just had a moment. This is my time in the month. I guess that's what happens."
I guess you should also mention that
my hand turns black.
I think the Scott and Ash go into the basement, or Scott goes in the basement first, and then he's like messing around, like he got kidnapped or kidnapping.
Oh my god, what happened to Scott?
Yeah, and
then, they don't say it.
Yeah, and then Ash has to go down, and then they mess around in there, and they find they find like is it a gun or radio in the book? Or they find a gun?
I don't know. They found a gun. They found the book.
And they found like a little radio.
I don't know the book.
Because that's what they're listening to.
Did they find a radio? I can't remember.
Or a cassette, because they're playing it up there, and then one of the girls is like, "Scott, stop, Scott,
oh,
stop."
Yeah, the tape recorder.
Yeah.
Tape recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like the whatever archaeologists, kind of like office space, I guess.
Yeah, and on the recorder it says like something like, "If you want to wake up the devil book Necronomicon, say these 3 words or whatever, which I'm going to say now," and he says them, and then it wakes up the book or whatever.
You didn't say spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
And the guys are just like, "Well, I didn't say spoiler alert, so I think we're fine." Although I will say it was kind of cheap how they did the waking, because it looked like just they got like a pad and then they kind of raised it and had like a red light under it, and it was like, "Oh, he's saying the words." I'm like, all right.
But so that's what starts all the weird ghouls and goblins type of stuff, and all the.
I didn't understand that portion of it, because I mean maybe it just like unleashes a more severe version of the spirit. But I mean the first scene, it does show it can manipulate objects, because I mean it does turn that wheel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I thought that was a little odd to how to, because I mean I kind of understand it if it's like, oh well, now it's in physical form, and you can only like manipulate like trees and like
people,
objects.
People at that time too.
Yeah, so maybe it's just when you say the things out loud, it can start possessing people. Maybe that's
Super Saiyan.
Kind of overall. Yeah, start screaming. All the trees have blonde hair.
So then the girl leaves, gets possessed, and then they grab her, and they don't want to kill her or something like that, and they just throw her into the basement and they lock her up.
Yeah, and they do it pretty half-assedly, like, whoa. And they start chaining it up, and I mean, she gets worse and worse, like, face-wise. Mm-hmm. Her eyes are fucked, and they're like, oh, she'll be fine. She just needs a good night's sleep. Yeah, it's just kind of like, I don't know, man. It's pretty quick on that, but they're like, yeah, it's fine. And I thought that was a really good scene, because, well, I wouldn't say scene, but kind of like how they're presenting it, because it's kind of like, oh, it's the devil coming from up under the floorboards. It's not closing the whole thing. It's just kind of like moving its hands out. Kind of, you can see it's still manipulating things. Mm-hmm. It's unnerving. And I kind of like how they did that.
And then what happened to Scott? I forgot what happened to Scott. that he got killed.
So not pretty much just good.
Oh, I don't know. I was just saying one of the girls get possessed, and then doesn't they stab her or stab Scott with a ritual dagger or something like that?
No, I think what happens to a point. Well, I don't know exactly how Scott gets hurt. So I know he goes in the woods, and that's how he gets really injured, and then kind of dies. I think he does get attacked by one of them.
I know he gets attacked by one of them at some point.
Yeah, I don't know how badly he gets scratched on his face. I know that, and then he's just like, fuck this. I ain't dealing with this bullshit anymore. And so he runs off into the woods because he's just like, I think we'll be fine if we split up. And then of course he gets fucking beat the living shit out by the trees. Comes back and says, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore." But I think he's so severely injured at that point. It's just Ash and the girlfriend, who we already know is possessed at that point.
Well, there's 3 girls now, or there's 3 people that scene. There's Ash, there's Ash's girlfriend, and then there's Scott's girlfriend, and then there's the girl locked up in the basement.
Yeah, well, that girl, Scott's girlfriend, attacks Scott, and I think she puts her she falls into the flames of the fire. And she's burning because she can't get up for some reason. It's a small fireplace, ah. And of course, it takes him off, and he's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And of course, she's demented at this point. And the guy's like, "Oh, I mean, she's still pretty somewhere."
I didn't like how she kept laughing. I thought that was lame.
I thought both of them. I mean, I always you had to put yourself in that situation where it's just kind of if she was this. If she looked this fucked up and she was talking and making all this weird shit, would you still kind of look at her as the same way?
I'd be shooting her
at all.
What? I said I'd be shooting her.
Yeah, at that point I was like, yeah, there's something going on here. And so, but you're like, oh no, it's the same girl, and it's no, and even the demented girl. Although I did laugh when she was starting to laugh at him, it started to sweat really big wings.
Beating her up.
Yeah, trying to laugh at me, bitch. Why didn't you in the kitchen?
But then he starts using the gun. Does he use the gun at this point or no?
I think after he's so I think at that point he's putting the girl in the grave. His girlfriend.
He takes her,
and he's just
it's not the girlfriend, is it?
Takes her outside.
I thought it was Scott's girlfriend.
No, Scott's girlfriend's dead at this point. I mean, she's pretty fucked up at this point.
The chunkier one is Ash's girlfriend. I thought the one who laughs a lot is Scott's girlfriend, and the one gross, disgusting. Then the one in the underneath the house in the basement is the weird one, or not the weird one, the third wheel that's tagging along.
That's the weird one, demonic eyes. That's the weird one in the group.
And then
no, what happened is that she starts so there's a brief scene where she's not demented anymore, and she's crying to Ash, saying, "I don't want to go back. Please don't make this happen again." And then within seconds, she's back to being demented, and she's just all laughing and she kind of sounds kind of like a kid almost. And she's and she's dragged out into the backyard shed. And
well, no, they go to the shed first, and he clamps her down, and he's going to chainsaw her.
Yeah,
but then he's she's my friend or whatever, and then she starts murdering him.
Yeah, she's like, well, maybe I can do something to save her. But I mean, to be fair, if you're about to chainsaw one of your best friends, or you're one of your best people, you're like, or you're a girlfriend practically, and it's just do I really want to do this? This is pretty fucking out of the box of what my thinking usually is. And so he stops. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I think I want, because then he's just I'm gonna murder, and then at that point he's just kind of going for broke. Where time to get the gun, start blowing some heads up, and so he goes down into the basement.
Yeah, the cool scene after that is when he goes in the basement, and then where the pipe bleeds on him or whatever, but then he leaves up, and there's that mirror that he's walking to. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, because when you first see it, you just think it's a normal mirror or whatever, and then he walks in and he pushes his hand and touches it, and it's a pool of water or whatever, and his hand goes through it, but so
that
cool.
Was really That was cool special effects.
It's like 1980.
How hard do you think that was to do?
That's what I'm saying. It's like such an old film, and they tricked you. They thinking that it's a mirror or whatever, and puts his hand in it. It's
and they didn't use CGI too. They didn't like kind of use this weird like Jello looking things. Like, oh no, it's water. Like that is an actual. That's like a little like
actual
or whatever they left.
Well, I don't think
that was
CGI
really
in
cool.
this movie. I don't know if they had the access or the technology.
I don't think they had the technology back then. They really had to be creative, which I really liked.
Which is like the stop motion they did a lot with like maggots crawling through their skin or something like that, or whatever.
Now that's the one really big complaint I had, and it's the end of the movie when all of them start to die, and it's just like the grossest shit, and it's all stop motion, good. So it's just like everything.
I like that.
That was so fucking gross.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. It's supposed to be gross.
Yeah, but it's just like if they did it once, it's fine. But then they did it again, and then it just turned into.
They should have redone that part. They should have done the gross part like 5 minutes into the movie, and should have until the end. But okay.
That was a little too much.
I didn't like when they were dying, like those demon hands came out of them or whatever. Oh, that was kind of dumb. Oh no, they had to have. no. The demon hands weren't special effects. They were actual hands, weren't they? I saw like a week ago.
I think they were.
So that's why my memory's kind of foggy about it. But but yeah, at the end, what's it called? He gets the book and he throws it in the fire and it kills the zombie people. And it was I don't know if this is true. I think it's true. In the scene, I think he kicks one of the girls outside the cabin, and they're knocking on the door, and then he beating the door over. There are two different doors. If you look at them, one of the doors has a giant hole in it. Well, it's not a giant hole, but there's a hole in it from like when he shoots whoever. But the one that shows the scene of the zombie monster girl on the other side knocking on it, there's no hole. Yeah, I saw that. I caught it. Please.
Worst movie ever.
0 out of 10.
0 out of 10. I'm not even paying attention to that much. If I can find it, that means you're lazy.
Nobody had the whole movie. Where's the hole in the door? Huh? It's gone. 2 different doors.
Yeah, I think it's like I'm sure they just filled that scene earlier on. Probably. And then just edited it. Because it's like, we don't have the budget. We don't have the budget for 2 doors here, guys.
No, they did.
This is our.
They had 2 doors. They definitely had the budget.
Like, okay, we gotta.
We gotta do the door store.
Whatever Home Depot was. Do you have just a door?
It was a weird door too. It was the door that Ash shot through was like a normal, good-looking door, but the door that she was knocking on looked like it was so fake, like this weird drawing of a door. I don't know if you didn't notice it. It looked weird.
I don't know. I was kind of looking at the shotgun shooting a demon. I was looking at a door, but I mean, sure.
It was like as if it was like a white slab, and they painted it to make it look like a door, like a brown door. It was weird. I might be insane, but I think that's a thing. I'm pretty sure there's 2 different doors.
I'm putting it on Wikipedia as we speak. So now it's
check IMDb. See how many doors they use.
So the overall movie I really enjoyed, especially since it is an older movie and special effects are pretty good.
Yeah.
The only thing is this is kind of like the gross scenes at the end with the like
dying
and like blowing up, pretty much of like oozing the most grossest shit, and then that was about it. Other than that, it's a good horror movie.
It's a good.
I wouldn't say I was scared at any time though.
I wasn't scared, but I was definitely grossed out.
Yeah.
Which is still good because I watched recently that Paranormal Activity. Boy, does that movie suck! My God.
The first one, or
the first one? I watched it like a month ago, and I was like,
I actually thought that was good. It was boring as fuck.
I was like 50 minutes in. I was like, is something going to happen? And I looked online. It cost them like $50,000 to make, or $15 or $50,000 to make that film, and they made it $14 million. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Those people suck. They need to refund everyone their money. That movie was trash.
I thought it was good. I like kind of the Blair Witch type.
Part 2 of this video is Paranormal Activity review. But
Me bitching about how paranormal
that,
activity sucks.
that sucked. I didn't get scared at all. I thought it was going to be a scary movie.
Yeah, comparison to Evil Dead. There's an actual zombie murdering their friends as they're trying to figure out what to do.
This was
In
like 30
paranormal
years
activity,
before.
the blanket moves a little bit. Now everyone's scared.
But if I had to rate The Evil Dead out of 10, I would say it's about a 8.5.
I'd say 7.5.
7.5?
It's definitely not tier.
The only reason why I wouldn't rate it higher is I thought the beginning, it took a while to get started.
I guess I mean as movies go, especially when it's now most movies are now 2 hours long. I didn't really mind. I didn't think it was that slow.
Oh, well. But what'd you say? What? You said 7.5?
I said I said it was a 7.5, and I think it's just for its time period. I think I would have rated it higher if I lived in that area.
Yeah.
Time period because I'd be like, oh, this is a really good fucking movie, but
Mm-hmm.
you kind of dilute yourself with watching more newer versions of
Yeah.
not only and horrors in general. And so I was just like, yeah, I mean, I would absolutely watch this movie again, and especially as a horror film.
Yeah,
But I
that's what I'm
mean,
saying.
it's not like
I would watch this
yeah,
again 100% of the time. Paranormal Activity, I
yeah.
would not watch again. That movie sucked.
I was spooked the entire time. That blanket moving was pretty scary.
So you say 7.5 and I say 8.5?
Yeah, so let's give it a solid 8
Yeah,
average.
8 words. 10 out of 10. Okay.